Did you ever dream of finding a sunken treasure filled with gold coins from ancient days? Today, we're going to show you these treasures that were discovered in the land of the Bible.
That's right, Yair. Today on Insights Israel in the Middle East, we follow the incredible tale of the treasures this land holds, both in the ground, the sea, and elsewhere. The land of Israel sits at the crossroads of the commerce and trade of countless empires. Since the early times of the Bible all the way through modern times, any empire, army, or force that's moving through this region, be it the Babylonians, the Persians, the Egyptians, or anyone else, is moving through one of the many trade routes in this country. Be it the Spice Road, or the King's Road, or the Road of the Sea, this was where those people moved through. And those kings, those armies, those travelers that are moving through left their mark on this land. And nowadays, when we dig into the ground of this land, we find the treasures left behind, the testament of the countless empires and people who've come through. If boats consistently go back and forth on this route, some of them stay at the bottom with their treasure. So where is King Solomon's treasure?
For me, his treasure is a shipwreck from that period. And actually, we found it already many years ago.
The state of Israel is so rich in antiquities.
How much more is still in the ground?
I think
outside?
we just excavated 5%. There are much more to find.
To start our journey in search of the treasures of this land, I am meeting with marine archaeologist Kurt Rave at Kibbutz Dor on the Carmel coast of Israel. Kurt, where are we sitting? What is this incredible archaeological site we see around us?
On the moment, you're sitting on the ruins of a Greek period building on the shores of the Mediterranean of what is called Tel Dor. Okay? This is the ancient port of Dor. We have here a continuous port for more than 4,000, maybe 5,000 years.
Wow. Tel Dor is one of Israel's most prominent archaeological sites. From the days of King Solomon to the rule of Herod the Great, the port of Dor attracted both trade and conquerors to the Carmel coast. Tel Dor and the port of Dor not only stand as a testament to the biblical narrative, but to 4,000 years of maritime trade on the Levantine coast.
Dor is mentioned 4 times in the Old Testament as being the port of King Solomon, that his son-in-law is king of, who was married with King Solomon's daughter called Tafat. Till today, the 3rd island of shore here is called Tafat. In that time, we have here also city walls and city gates.
So you find in this site construction that's indicative of First Temple period, Israelite construction.
Israelite construction.
It's early kingdom.
Yeah, on the other side of the gate area. So it's really a virgin ground for archaeology when we started. I knew from the beginning that I'm in love.
Kurt arrived to Israel from Holland in the early 1970s.
I grew up in Holland in a family of World War II partisans, so my parents' home was full only with Israel. Very Zionistic, even though they're Christian. There was a poster also in my room of an action, go to Israel. That my action I found in South America, in the jungle commandos of the Dutch army. But then in '73, me and a buddy came to Israel and volunteered to the kibbutz.
Kurt began snorkeling off the coast of his kibbutz, and his hobby soon became his lifelong passion and profession. By 1975, he was chosen by the Israeli government to be the inspector of all of Israel's seas, and by 1976, he pioneered Israel's first maritime antiquities unit.
I had a wish list. The only thing was to hope to find one day a real ancient shipwreck. You know?
Just one?
Just one.
Just one.
Just here in the bay, I found already 28. Altogether, I have more than 300 sites all over Israel. So it even means that after 50 years that I've been scorching the seabed, so it's still coming out.
The wealth of sunken treasure extracted captivates the imagination with tales of ancient life and mystery.
The largest one we found consisted of 3 different shipwrecks. So in the Canaanite times, in the Hellenistic times, and in the Mameluke times, in between 2,000 years, 3 ships went down in the same area. What we took out there is at least a ton of coins, silver-decorated plates, candlesticks, statues, nails, whatever you want to imagine. And just when we thought we cleared everything out, I noticed a little piece of pottery. I started cleaning a little piece of pottery by my hand, and it grew and it grew, and then I saw it was an amphora, one of those beautiful Rhodian Greek amphora. But then when I tried to lift it, it was impossible. It turned out about 90 kilos of jewelry and other beautiful stuff that from the Hellenistic
90 kilos,
yeah.
200 pounds of jewelry.
With each wave breaking on this land's shores, more treasures are revealed. And with them, the rich tapestry of our ancient history unfolds.
This is the Holy Land, you know, to dive in underground tunnels in Jerusalem or under the Rhodian, the Red Sea or Mediterranean Sea of Galilee. It became one great adventure. I mean, if I see an Indiana Jones movie, I say, oh, it's all fake. We did the real thing, you know, and all our dreams came true.
We have got an incredible offer for you today. This show's sponsor, Artza has a unique offer for only the viewers of this show. 10% off on your next purchase if you get an annual or a one-time subscription. So what is Artza? Artza takes the incredible creations of Israeli artisans, food, gifts, decor, and brings it to your home. Not only that, they do it 4 times a year for a flat annual rate. So use TBNIL at the checkout at the artzabox.com website to get your promo today.
So Kurt, let's go see the museum?
Okay.
After hearing about all these treasures, I asked Kurt to take us to where some of these incredible finds are housed. The Mizgaga, a museum for regional archaeology.
Those jars in the corner, they're 3,000 years old. This is Byzantine, this is about 1,500 years. Those stones with holes as ancient anchors, 4,000 years old. So this is one of the Bronze Age ingots, maybe the most important find in the whole museum.
How old is that?
The 13th century BC about.
So 3,300 years.
Okay.
The sheer abundance of history and knowledge extracted by Kurt and his teams from the depths of the sea are truly staggering.
What are these rocks?
There's the balistrot. They are the cannonballs of those days. Statues, as you can see, jewelry, gods, Hermes, beautiful. Oil lamps, I think there are a few thousand were found here. These have also stamps on the handles. It tells us about the route that the ship took until it sunk, because he picked up those in Rhodes and those in Samos and those in Knidos.
2,000 years later, Kurt's out scuba diving.
Yes.
And you pull it out of the ocean. It's amazing.
And especially with the jewelry inside.
Yeah, even more amazing. Is it normal in the world to find that volume of sunken ships in one place?
No, it's the largest graveyard of ships on this side of the Mediterranean, in the Levant.
They sunk naturally, or they sunk because the bay is dangerous, or a combination?
You have to understand that it's an open shore between Egypt and Turkey. There are very few sheltered bays. Dor was one of the few ones that you have a natural bay, protected by offshore islands, like a breakwater. If you would be coming back to Europe, say from Alexandria, they would jump from port to port, stay close to shore because they're afraid from the pirates, of course. If the weather would change, in 2 hours you can have suddenly from a quiet sea here waves are 6 meters, sometimes even more, and the ships would be throwing on the shore.
The sunken military equipment of Napoleon Bonaparte's failed 1799 campaign is Kurt's own cherry on the cake of those coastal treasures.
This is a story of real discovery, okay? That started with this map, actually, the first good one of the Holy Land, made with Jacques Coutin, a cartographer from Napoleon.
This is a remake of the original map?
This is the treasure map. So when we enlarged this area, our area, it's written there that here was the camp of Napoleon on 22 May 1799. What the heck did Napoleon do where my house is standing today?
That's a good question.
We found diaries and letters, and all that tell the same story of the retreat from Acre to the ports here of Tantura. There was his supply port in the time of the siege of Acre. When they got here, a third of his army is already either wounded or sick. So he decided to walk back to Egypt all the way. But how can he take a wounded and sick? So he decided to dump all his armor in the sea, just to take the wounded and sick with him.
After discovering this revelation, Kurt and his team took to the water, searching.
Took about 7 years. One morning there was a special storm, and sand in another area moved away, and the first cannons came out. Here you see a mortar and a cannon.
This is a Napoleon cannon?
There is no doubt that this is one of the cannons used by Napoleon. The other one here for sure. Even can get, by way of his registration number today, to which soldiers were using that cannon at that time.
What does it look like when you find something like this in the sea?
This one, I felt like my first son was born. You know, I have only daughters, so...
I'm so inspired by the wealth of history I've witnessed today, but there's one more mystery I need to explore. After all, this was King Solomon's port.
So if King Solomon had ships coming in and out of this place, then your logic would say that there's something on the bottom of the sea here that has to do with his kingdom.
Yes, you're right. We found already a shipwreck from that period. We didn't excavate it yet. We just checked what's over there, took samples out just to prove it, but it's about 9th, 10th century BC. We're not able to excavate it on the moment because it's on land. What was in the sea is now covered by so much sand that we have to wait till it be in the water again to be properly excavated. But from what we know, it's from the time of King Solomon.
From Napoleon to King Solomon, Kurt's contributions to Israel and the maritime world are immeasurable.
You've given color, picture, and archaeological evidence.
Yeah.
The stories that when you started your work were just a story. You brought that to life. That's something huge.
Yes, even for me.
No, really, it's something incredible.
I just wanted one old ship. I never imagined would be hundreds of sites, not to talk about the Galilee boat, the Jesus boat in the Sea of Galilee project, which was the jewel in our crown. When the sun comes up above the Golan Heights and the magic spell of the light above the Sea of Galilee, that's exactly what I imagined in my Bible lessons in my childhood. So I am not only living in this world, I can transport myself in any time of the history.
As you saw, we're talking about the lost treasures in the land. And when we talk about the lost treasures in the land, we cannot not talk about the Ark of the Covenant. Today we have a great honor to have with us Reuven Doron. Reuven is the director of Sarel Academy. Reuven, shalom and welcome.
Shalom.
Reuven, the Ark of the Covenant. Your first thought?
The centerpiece of God's plan for us. When our forefathers and mothers came out of Egypt, the first job, the first task, they took 1 year to build the tabernacle, the place where God said, I will dwell amongst the people. In the heart of the tabernacle was the Ark of the Covenant. First was the holy place and then the Holy of Holies. It was secret, it was dark, it was hidden. Only the high priest can enter in, and only once a year, with the blood of bulls and rams to offer sacrifice for himself and then for the people. This was the heart of the relationship. Atonement can be made, and it was made on the top of the Ark of the Covenant, what we call the parochet, the seat of mercy. That's where God met with us. And so it is in the heart of the whole worship system of Israel.
We know that the Ark sat in Shiloh for 400 years. And then the Ark was moved to Jerusalem. Solomon brought the Ark of the Covenant into the temple, just here, behind us. The Ark was in the first temple, but people are not sure that the Ark was in the second temple.
Probably was not, because we don't know when the Ark vanished. But at some point, as you said, under Solomon's rule, we don't hear about it anymore.
When we think about the Ark of the Covenant symbolizes more than just a box, symbolize salvation.
Right, right.
The whole thing. I think Paul is talking about the pictures or the shadow that is in the Old Testament reflecting into the New Testament.
Absolutely. The Ark points to the Lord Yeshua in a mystical, beautiful way, in a spiritual gift, because it's made out of wood. Etz shittim. It's almost as strong as metal. It is the wilderness wood. It speaks about the humanity of the Lord. But it was covered in and out with pure gold, upon which the blood was sprinkled once a year. And so we do see in the ark the person of Yeshua, our Lord Jesus, his humanity, his divinity. And what was in the ark? We read the New Testament interpretation, HaPerush, in the book of Hebrews.
The book of Hebrews.
3 items, remember. The tablets of the law, the 10 words, the 10 commandments, plus Aaron's rod that blossomed, plus a golden jar with a manna. All 3 items speak about man's depravity, man's great need, and God's provisions. Everything we cannot fulfill on our own, and God has to give us grace to fulfill. All of it in the Messiah. I'm looking for the ark that the Lord himself says is hidden in heaven. We read this mysterious scripture in the book of Revelation, chapter 11, where the final events are happening and the revival in the city, and the 2 witnesses die and rise to life again. And God says he opened the temple in the heavenly Jerusalem and revealed the ark. So all the movies, Indiana Jones, and all the legends, Shmulik, I mean, people think that the ark is buried in Jordan. There's some who think it is in Ethiopia. It's St. Mary's Church, where only one guard is able to look upon it. And some believe it is in New Guinea, and some say it is underneath Golgotha today. The ark is in heaven, and the Lord will reveal the true ark in his own good time.
Wow. Do you have any message that has to do with the Ark of the Covenant for people watching us today?
Absolutely. And that's the virtue of the Word of God. It always means to encourage our hearts, to strengthen us on this journey of faith that all of us are taking every day of our lives. Let the Ark of the Covenant speak to your hearts about the blessed presence of Jesus. And as all of us are commanded, like the Levites that carried the ark, we need to carry God's presence into our jobs, our homes, our families, my grandchildren, our prayer life, the congregations that you lead, the work that we do. Let us be so careful to bring with us the presence of the Lord, with our self-strength, with our talents, with our abilities. Thank God for our abilities, but we enter the Holy of Holies by the blood of the Lamb alone.
Reuven Doron, what a great honor. Thank you. And to you, our friends, like Reuven said, let us bring the good news wherever we are. May God bless you from Jerusalem.
I drove down to the foothills of the Judean desert to meet the Indiana Jones of Israeli antiquity.
So this is the famous cave.
Eitan's famous cave.
Eitan Klein is the Deputy Director for the Israel Antiquities Prevention of Antiquities Looting Unit.
Yes.
And with so much history and wealth buried under Israel's earth, his hands are literally always full.
What an impressive cave, Eitan.
Yes,
So
beautiful.
let's start from the beginning.
In Israel, we have more than 30,000 ancient sites. In those sites, you have actually all the history of this country, of this land. You can find items from biblical time, First Temple period, Second Temple period, Byzantine period, Christianity. Jesus was walking here. We need to protect all those sites for the history, not just of the land of Israel, it's actually for all the world. We had a very serious problem. It started actually in the 19th century. People that were living here, they understand that below their legs, many valuable items from the past, and people want to buy it. People started to loot. In 1978, the law of antiquities stated that people cannot excavate without a permission, and what they are excavating or finding belongs to the state and not to the persons that found it. What we are doing is catching looters who are trying to steal our past.
What are they looking for? Like, is it something specific or anything essentially that will sell?
So usually they will look for rare antiquities, okay? Something that no one ever found before. It's priceless. but most of the time they are looking for ancient coins. Most of the time Jewish coins. 10 years ago, there was an auction in New York that one coin from the Great Revolt against the Romans, it is a very unique and rare coin, was sold in more than $1 million, just one coin.
That's a nice chunk of change for one tiny little coin.
How do you stop looters from finding and stealing these antiquities?
First of all, you need to understand who is your enemy. Who are the looters? It could be ordinary people who are buying metal detectors, going to the fields and trying to find their luck. But most of the looters are professionals, just gangs. So this is actually a commercial crime.
In order to fight such an elaborate system, Eitan and his team use intricate schemes, utilizing intelligence, international connections, and even the Interpol. Nothing stands in their way.
13 years ago, we had informers. We heard a group of looters found ancient papyrus, which is coming only from the Dead Sea Judean desert caves, and they are trying to sell it for more than $2 million. We took a person, we said that he is a businessman. Eventually, a meeting was set. He needed to bring a bag with $2 million. They needed to bring the papyrus. And when we saw the papyrus on the table, it was in a hotel in Jerusalem. We caught the papyrus, and this was it. The papyrus is still today in our hands. It was from the first temple period, very rare, written in ancient Hebrew. They sat in jail for 2 years. Still, you can find inside the caves very important artifacts. We initiated a big excavation and we found fragments of papyrus. We found a hoard of jewelry from 5,000 years ago, weapons from the rebellions, also fragments of biblical scripts, such as Zechariah, Yoel. So I think it's a great success. And it started from the looting. Eventually, we are excavating.
What do you feel when you enter that hotel room and see the papyrus, or enter the cave and catch the people that have been looting and then find the antiquities yourself?
For me, it's fill my heart. I think it's very important to protect the history of the land and of our people. When you excavate and you find artifacts and you understand that it was real, okay? Before 2,000 years, Jews were here. We need to keep the heritage of our nation, of our land, in order to protect it and to pass it to next generations.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.